Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed and this week's ticker request live for Sunday, October 26th. And in this stream, I'm going to do things a little bit differently for a number of reasons. And with that being said, I'm going to begin these streams with a little bit of an intro. Then I'm going to discuss a topic. For this week, it is ASST or Strive and Mike Alfred. I think that he's a really good person to follow over on X just to get a better understanding of the market generally and what's going on. And then I will open up the chat for requests. It's open for you guys to exchange ideas. If you do have requests, put them in there. But first, I am going to go over like this little 20 to 30 minute intro, just sharing some ideas. And then I'll look at all the requests. If there's time, I'll go over all of them. If there's not time, I might make some videos on them. I will put them in Notepad so I can go over them during the week. But yeah, this really just comes about because a couple Sundays ago, or really like during the week, there is, not financial advice, it says it up there, and, we all got to trade our plans. If we're online and we hear that people are talking about something, and people are sheep generally. We have herd mentality, all of that. That's not saying anything bad about people. That's just a reality. And if we're just following them blindly without understanding what's actually going on, that's not very good. And if I look at a chart and maybe I disagree with you about something, that's totally fine. If you want me to dive deeper into it because I don't agree with you, tell me to look at the options data, because that's a really good way for me to, get a light bulb moment. And maybe, I see what you guys are talking about. But if you're going to say that something is, going to moon because other people on other platforms or the same platform, YouTube, whatever it is, are talking about a stock, that's like the reason to participate in a trade is not because sheeps are involved. We need to have a thesis. And so that's what Ticker Request Live is about. If I do disagree with you and you start to spam the channel, then I'm going to mute you so you can still access things if you like, but you won't be able to post anymore. And I think that means you probably won't be able to be in the chat either. So yeah, just consider that. Some people will be buying the tops, and I don't want to be talking about something that I don't understand. And if your understanding is just that other people are talking about it, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. So don't abuse the channel. It's a very small channel, and you can spam other places more successfully than this channel. And also, with that being said, if you do have requests, put them in the chat, put them in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. And part of the reason why I'm going to be doing this, little intro topic and then ticker requests is because live streaming is a lot of work for me. It takes a lot of energy, and it's not really, it's number one, it's awesome to connect with you guys. But as far as like the effort that goes in, the time and effort and stuff, it just doesn't really, have enough value for me. And so rather than talking about tickers right away, taking requests, I'm going to go over a topic and then we could get into it. And then I'll cut the topic into a video, and then I'll cut the requests into a video, and I'll put all of them in the probably title of it, so you guys can see, just get a quick, run through of what I go over. So I think that'll be more valuable for you guys as the viewers. It'll be more valuable for me as far as the time that I put into this. But yeah, enough rambling with that. Just trying new things. This channel is always, I'm experimenting with it, balancing the channel with my life, the market, all of that. But yeah, kind of like the intro for this stream is really just summarized by this scene in the Matrix. Sorry, that's just been on repeat this whole time if you've been wondering what's going on. But I feel like what's been going on in the market is, Neo's been beaten down, and he's starting to believe, And so I think that we kind of, I just ate a cookie and I spat some of the, it was an oatmeal cookie, sorry. Anyways, live streams, they're fun. He's just been beaten up, but then he gets up and he's ready to continue battling Mr. Smith. And the movie continues on, and following the movie, there are sequels and stuff. So I think that we're going to have like a really kick-ass moment in the market. I could be wrong about it. Sometimes when I get really excited about things, the exact opposite tends to happen. But I feel like morale is really low, beaten down, and we're starting to see stuff move. So that's why I have this meme here, this GIF, because I think that's where we're at. And I'll try to start these streams with something fun like that, just to give kind of like my mindset for the week ahead. And part of that, the topic of being beaten down really comes from Bitcoin, from crypto. I don't know if you guys are into that stuff. If you are, if you're into miners, whatever it is. But Uptober, was supposed to be up. It's supposed to be green. And I don't know what the extent is that it was down, but I remember doing a crypto corner sat stacker, I think 2 Saturdays ago, and it was down 6%. Now we're up 0.75%. October is not over. And I think that we could be seeing a really nice November, a really nice December. And so these could be referred to as Uptober, Moonvember, and Bullcember. And actually, there was a meme that I wanted to to put up on that topic. I'll probably record a short with me just reacting to it because it's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, right now, if it's October and it's red, that means there's an opportunity, because if it's green right now, it could go down, to 0.01%, and it'd still be a green month. It'd still be October. So right now there's a little bit of risk if it were to come down to, -6% as it was, as I remember. Might have been lower, not sure. But then there's, an upside potential just to get to break even. And so right now, since it is green, it is October, it's potentially a little bit risky, but we only have a week left. Halloween, October 31st, this coming Friday. And so I'm just really excited. I think that we're back up, we're on our feet, we're going to fight Agent Smith. And whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's tech, stock market, the government's still shut down. Once it opens, there's the FOMC meeting this week, I believe. I think that there's just going to be a lot of, good catalysts into the end of the year. Again, whether it's Bitcoin, crypto in general, the stock market, tech, whatever it is. So right now, I'm just feeling really optimistic, but I feel like we've been beaten down a little bit. We're back on our feet. I think we're going to hit the ground running. And so with that being said, I'm going to start to talk about Mike Alfred and Strive, but I also did want to point out this video from Colin Gladman. It came out about 3 hours ago. I watched the first 25 minutes of it before I did some work outside, and then I just watched the last 25 minutes of it when I was getting ready for this. So I must say I paid more attention to the first half of it. But he's talking about not only ASST, comparing that with Beyond Meat, which recently ran a lot, and, but also talking about some similarities, some differences with those stocks, with other stocks. Talked about GameStop a little bit. I'm not sure if he talked about AMC because, to be honest, I was paying attention to other stuff. But I did put out that AMC video earlier today, so you guys do have a resource with that. But I just think that Colin is a great person to follow, whether on YouTube for his periodic videos or, his posts on X. This is a 48-minute long video. He gets into a lot of technical stuff, and that any of these massive pullbacks that we've seen, we might be seeing some pretty nice rallies soon. And that does kind of mesh with this topic of Mike Alfred. So I wanted to go over that. And so let's go over to this post. This is also from Colin. So this is, you can see his information right here. I don't have his link, the link to his page here, but I do have a link in the description of the video to this video from him. So you can check that out. But from this post, just going to have some fun for a little bit here. Colin is posting about ASST, which is Strive. And he's saying it is pretty much the exact same setup as Beyond before it ran another 670%. Maybe we're missing the move right now. Friday, I think, was the time to buy. But maybe there are some opportunities on a pullback to pick some up. But yeah, I just wanted to go over this. This was from Friday on the 24th. I know that he's participating in it. I know that he's participating in Beyond, but he's also talked about in his video that he's risking what he is fine with going to zero, no big deal. So you got to plan your trades accordingly, what works for you. I am not in either of these, but I am very intrigued by ASST, not just because of the chart setup, but also because of Mike Alfred. So I want to talk about him as well. Just a great person to follow. Also Colin as well. His info is right here. But yeah, I'm just going to click on his little screenshot here for Beyond. So what we can see is this gap down. I was getting requests for it over here. I didn't recognize that, with this increasing volume that we'd see such an upside move. If I would have looked over at the options data, I did glance at it a little bit, but I didn't want to, waste time, on something that I had missed. I just recognized it and I didn't want to get caught up in it. Trade without emotions. And if you're completely wrong about something, good to not follow it. And also good to not buy when things have also gone up, like hundreds of %. Very risky. Hit a high of over 750, it looks like. And now it's trading around $2. But, it saw a gap down, volume starting to pick up, and then it went up. And that looks very similar to the ASST chart. You can see this gap down consolidating, or really just fading down here, lower volume. Volume starts to pick up. And so what you see is this bottom, this would be a red candle. The black candles are red, the white ones are green. And so you'd see this, coming down. And then you start to see it change a little bit, gap up, another gap up. And so that could be happening with ASST. And so it closed on Friday at 110, but then in the after hours trading session, I believe it closed at 124. I don't have a position. I do have some limit orders to buy at 124, 110. I suspect they won't get filled, but this is one for me, like 10 shares, nothing too crazy, just to kind of tag along and participate because I think it has a lot of upside potential, something that I could believe in because I really believe in Mike Alfred, what I've seen from him, from prior stocks. I'll go over some of them in the little, overview of him. But yeah, I think that this could be going up. We got this moving average. I'm not sure what that is exactly on his chart, but that's around 308. So that's a more than 2x up to there, and maybe it goes higher, like Beyond did, but then maybe it pulls back pretty dramatically. And so Beyond at this point, Colin talks about it in his video, but I think could be coming down to like, sub $1. So very risky there. I'm glad I'm not in it. Glad I didn't participate, although I was thinking about buying puts on it, but I decided not to. Don't want to get emotions caught up in things. But yeah, ASST, I think that this could be looking really good. And then kind of funny, on the point of Colin talking about this looking very similar to Beyond. I talk about the Bronx Viking a lot. He works with Colin. You can see his information over here. Two great people. I would encourage you to follow them on X. I've learned a lot about unusual whales and options data from just his posts. He'll post a screenshot and I can really get a lot of information out of that. Maybe it's just the way that my brain works, the way that I like to learn. But generally, I think that I'm just going to move the mic away a little bit for myself because sometimes I talk too close to it. Sorry for the screech there, though. But yeah, I just think he's a great person to follow for options. Him and Colin, they work together. They don't always have the same views. And I think that that's like a really nice balance. You want to be challenging each other. And so with this, it's kind of funny. This is on October 25th. So after Colin had posted that, he's saying, stop saying ASST is the next Beyond. And so while the chart might look very similar as Colin shares here, fundamentally, I think that they're very, very different. And the reason for that, I must say, is because of Mike Alfred, or at least for me, that's why they're different. Bronx continues on here saying that Beyond sells pea and beet sausages that 99% of people here wouldn't touch unless they were competing on fear factor. I think that's a valid point, although I would eat them, but I would much rather have a regular burger or, the sausages. I could go either way because personally I think sausages are kind of gross, but I do like them. But burgers, 100% would rather have the beef. And so what he is saying is that was a pure Wall Street Bets YOLO moment. He's talking about Beyond. And so just because a bunch of sheep or a bunch of people that, whatever, are into something, maybe it's got a squeeze play, but maybe that bleeds out for the next few years and it's not even blood, it's beet juice. And, I just don't want to be following something that's going to be bleeding out over time. I don't think Beyond has fundamentals. I think that it could be going to zero long term. So I don't want to be touching that. But ASST just got an initial 1 million share stamp of approval from Fire Mike Alfred, the guy who nailed BKKT or backed from $7 to $50. Iron from $6 to $75. He was actually buying it lower than that. I believe I'm not exactly sure, but he's talked about it for a really long time with the Wolf of All Streets of Scott Milker. If you're into crypto, I'd encourage following him, whether that's on X or on YouTube. Mike Alfred does come on periodically, and he's just like a very calm, level-headed guy. Initially, I thought he was a little arrogant just because I didn't really understand his personality, his sense of humor. But yeah, he's just an awesome guy. One that, I look up towards, and like, how do I manage emotions? How do I manage my conviction? And, I just think that he's like a really great mentor in this space. Anyways, continuing on here from Bronx Viking, also Cypher. This is one that I do hold. I don't hold Backed or Iron. I have talked about them a little bit, but I do hold Cypher. My average is, I think, around 17. I've only got a few shares, so nothing crazy, but then I'm not emotional when it does pull back. I had wanted to get another share to pull back to 15, but that didn't happen. But anyways, that's one where it's just like, if it goes below my average, I'll gladly, easily, without any emotion, add to that. And if it does go a lot higher, then, it's not options that expire, so I can just hold those and participate. And, all of these are either going to be either Bitcoin mining or related stocks, energy, and data center stuff like that. So those are all kind of like very integrated plays. And I just think that Mike Alfred is just a really smart guy. And then so Bronx continues, do your own due diligence, of course, and understand the risks like with any trade, but these are completely different plays. I agree with him. Mike Alfred is a savant, and or I don't know if that's a compliment, to be honest. I mean it to be a compliment, but yeah, just like super smart guy, wonderful to listen to talk, and so Bronx reiterates, one was hype, and that was Beyond. The other just got validation from one of the sharpest names on X, sharpest names, on the planet, in my view, just super, super smart there. And that is, of course, Mike Alfred. Link in the description of the video. I was going to put a link to his bio as well as Colin's video in the chat, but I started a little bit late and didn't want to get caught up on that. But yeah, so this is Mike Alfred. You can see his info at Mike Alfred on X. He's just an engaged value investor and board director, recovering tech entrepreneur, ultramarathon runner with 4 100-mile finishes. And so I think that's also, kind of, good to, follow people that have like really good habits. And I think that being dedicated to something like running, having that kind of commitment, that focus, I think that's really good. So anyways, I just think that he's a really neat, very interesting, sharp guy. And I might scroll down through his feed a little bit, but there are a couple posts I did want to highlight before going over some of the charts. This is the one that I referred to in the thumbnail, just having fun with it. I wrote, change this when to bro, so it said, trust me, bro. But this is a post that he put out, I think on Saturday, just saying, trust me when I say this. No one is prepared for what is coming or for what's coming. And this was on, October 25th, around noon. And yeah, so that's what I put in the thumbnail. And then later, he did put this post out. Actually, yeah, I guess it was yesterday evening, October 25th, at Sushi Tonight. He also shares a lot about enjoying really good food, good wine. He's been especially successful, billionaire investor, very successful guy. And he shares his enjoyment of that. I think it's good to remind ourselves to enjoy life, to take time for the things that we do enjoy, whether that's delicious food, tasty wine. He posts about wine a lot, or just family, kids, whatnot. And so here he posts that, at sushi tonight, his daughter drew this. He says, I'll just read it, as he wrote it. Actually, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to read it as he wrote it. At sushi tonight, my daughter drew this. Uncanny. Only 2.5 years old. And so that is that, ASST at $1, which is around where we're at, give or take, versus, ASST at 50. And so what he's saying is that even if this gaps up to like $2 or $3, it could be, long term, 3 years or so is what happened with Iron. So that's the kind of mindset that you want to have. That's why personally I build very small positions. If it's something that I have conviction in, I can very easily add when it pulls back. Even if it's above my average, that's the way that I like to trade. You do you. But yeah, if it's trading at $1 or $2 right now and it could be going to 50 years from now, I think it's a good trade. If it goes up to 3 and then pulls back to 1, I think that's a nice opportunity to buy back. But yeah, that's just a fun post from him right there. And I'm just going to do a little bit of scrolling from his feed here. This is him enjoying wine, so I'll like that. And then also, this is from July 8th. He has this pinned, so it's very important to him. Here's a truth bomb that most investors will miss until it's too late. So he's saying Iron isn't just working on partnerships with hyperscalers on a project-by-project basis. It's also quietly and organically growing into a hyperscaler itself. So it's kind of like, a trade, like it's just a really good company to be investing in. I personally don't hold any. I wish I had bought some when it was on my radar at lower, but I didn't. But I wanted to learn more about Mike Alfred, have more confidence in who he is, his theses, and just my understanding of what he's talking about. And one thing that I do want to note about him is he does periodically host spaces on X kind of at random times. I think he did on Thursday out of the blue, and just said I might do a space if people want to join. And I saw that when I was at work. There wasn't much going on at work, so I was able to join. And it's just him talking for like half an hour, taking questions from people. And so I just think that he's a really great person to follow on X. I don't have alerts going, but I do think that he is a person that is worthy of having those alerts on there. I just check his stuff a lot. But this is from an hour ago. He had posted Cypher 2175, ASST 149, so maybe like 150 or 169, something like that would be a good, just to get a small position, a starter position in ASST. I'm just talking about what I'm thinking about doing, but you do you. But that's one that I'd like to participate in addition to my very small position in Cypher. But then there's also Iron. He says, 6674. That's one that I haven't really been following too much, but he's just got the eyes on there from, an hour prior to that post. He said, watch what happens when the overnight market opens in 75 minutes. And so I actually didn't see the overnight pricing of those, but, I wasn't looking too hard necessarily. And let's see, he followed up with this post, the trust me, whatever post, just saying that you are warned. And yeah, again, I think that he's a great person to follow. And wow, futures ripping. And yeah, he talks about some financial stuff and, whatever, just giving his perspective. And generally, yeah, I just think that he's a great person to follow. And this from the thumbnail that I added kind of late is from him. I did not make that. I just removed the background and threw it up there. And, he's one of us. He's just having fun. He just happens to be, a very well-established, very smart guy. And so I'd encourage you follow him, check out stocks that he talks about. And this is his profile over here. And then now I'm just going to pull up some stuff from the channel just so I can mention real quick kind of the stuff that I put out over the past week. One is AMC put out a video earlier today. It's a 44-minute long video. Sorry, it's kind of long, but hopefully there's a lot of information in there that's useful for you guys. Since I did do that AMC video today, I'm not going to be going over it in any of the requests. But, I will be following up if we do see something going on with that, later, something exciting, levels held or broken, whatever. Crypto Corner, Sat Stacker, I'm going to actually mix those up a little bit next week, making a video shorter. I'm going to do all the populating of data beforehand because it's just too much. It's too draining for me to do that. And people don't watch, only 16 views. And I understand it. I'm going to try to make those a little bit more digestible. So next week, I'll experiment with that. Also, I did put out this video on UAMI, which is USA Antimony, United States Antimony Corporation. Just posing the question, is it the next multi-bagger? This was based on a post that I saw from the Bronx Viking about this spike in, an order on a contract. I did cover that in the video. You can check it out if you like. I have a very small position in it, share position, no contracts, but it's one that I'm intrigued by. I will be doing another Power Pack pull video out on Wednesday, but I'll probably be opening cards on Tuesday. Snapchat, that's one that I'm very interested in. Halloween coming up on Friday, so maybe we see, a big move to the upside as I kind of have illustrated on that thumbnail. It's only had 66 views. I think it's been boring people out, consolidating to the side. I think it might be breaking out soon, so I feel really good about that, going to $9 or $10. That's a trade, so do with it as you will. Did want to share the levels that I had gone over in a prior stream about Beyond to see if that's helpful for people. But really, stuff like that, it ends up being a distraction from, in my view, stuff that's a little bit better quality, like calling the top on gold. I nailed that. I think I was a day off, but it pulled back like 6% or something like that. I don't know exactly. I'm not participating in it. But it was just, I think a really nice video, 29 minutes. I go over my thesis. I think that's a useful thing to consider. Just if I do put out videos that don't get many views, maybe it's because I'm right and people just don't want to hear it. And so, yeah, those are like the videos that I just wanted to go over there so you guys are familiar with them. But yeah, we'll pull up the chart here. I guess just at the very end, maybe I should mention ASST. This is Strive. I had apparently gone over it in the past here, but it didn't retrace. And so what I might do is I might just delete these Fibonacci retracements, delete this extension, delete this retracement. This is on the daily. This is on linear. And we can see that 50-day simple moving average is at 368. Colin had a level at 308, I believe, $3 psychological. So just consider that. Levels that I would be paying attention to, 368. Maybe we blow past that, like Beyond went past the moving average, but then pulled back down. Levels that could be acting as either support or resistance if we do go higher. Just kind of like the consolidation highs over here, 270. But if we do get above 270, there's not too much consolidation just above there. So then maybe it could run. So maybe like a level of resistance would be like the consolidation lows around 230. But maybe we gap up above those levels and really start to launch. This level here at 628. I don't really know what I think about that. But yeah, I really don't remember going over this chart in the past. But it did pull back. It did fill that gap. And if Mike Alfred's saying this could be going to 50 years from now, potentially, maybe that's really exciting. Look at this volume behind that. This could be setting up very similar to Beyond. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this went to like $6 early in the week. So, it says the market's closed. I don't know if there's overnight trading with it. I'm just going to look on my phone because I can see it there. And I just see after hours, so on Webull at least, I can't be trading this now, but I'm really intrigued by it, and it would be a very small position, so I could very unemotionally hold, turning, $1, $2 per share to $50 over the long term. I believe in Mike Alfred, so I wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully that little intro was useful for you guys. I will release that as a clip, and I will also be going over the requests as a clip later on. And so I'll start looking at those. But before I do that, I've had it sitting here. Cheers to you guys. I've been in kind of a wine mood lately. And so, yeah, I got a bottle, ate some pizza and a cookie before the stream. And so, yeah, cheers to you guys. Hopefully you're having a great Sunday, had a nice weekend. Looking forward to the week ahead. I think it's going to be a really exciting one. But maybe we see a sell-off towards the end. Maybe it starts really green. Maybe it doesn't end really green. We'll see. But I just feel really excited. So cheers to you guys. And cheers to the market. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through the requests. And I will note what people are requesting. If I don't get to it, probably in the next half an hour, then I'm going to end the stream so I can release those clips, and then I'll kind of have a plan for tickers that you guys want me to cover. I could do videos on them. That keeps me motivated to be putting out more material if I do see stuff in the chart. So let's just go over these requests. So Ricardo did have a request for Givo and let's see, RKT, which I believe is Rocket. Rocket boosters are warm, and yeah. So let's see. I can pull up the chat as I go over it. Maybe that's a better way to do this. So let's see. 1 second. So hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah. So that's from Ricardo. So I'll be going over those tickers. And let's see. Also got Bruce has a post here. Or a request for FMST and ATLX. And I should note, if it looks like stuff's just a squeeze play, like I don't know these stocks, then I'll probably skip them just because I don't want to, be talking about stuff that I think is just risky and I don't, understand enough about it. Because that's one of the things I don't really like about Ticker Request Live is that, it's more than just drawing lines on a chart. It's, understanding in my view, like the momentum, not necessarily the fundamentals, but the momentum. And so that can be missed going over stuff like this. And so Bruce is saying, those are good ideas for the channel, starting it off with something like today. Cool. I'm glad that you like that. And let me know, give me your feedback, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching this as a clip later. Let me know what your thoughts are. But I just trying to... I'm not a super successful YouTuber. I've been able to monetize the channel, but it's really, just like a hobby I occasionally make a little bit of money with. But it'd be nice to really, figure out a way to, do more frequent analysis or really just, dive into a thesis and share that with you guys, create more value, but also make it more accessible, more engaging. And it's just tough to figure out how to make this stuff really engaging, while balancing work and balancing stuff around this. I do see the request from Benjamin for Mara. Happy to go over that, but I can tell you without even looking at the chart, I think it's going to be really good. Talking about Mike Alfred, he's not really that bullish on Mara, but I think it's just... he sees better opportunities in other miners, but that doesn't mean Mara isn't going to move. And, it does seem like Bitcoin's running. Let's see what the price is for Bitcoin actually. Right now, over 115 for Bitcoin. So look at that. Yeah, we closed. Look at that. We closed. This is really good. I'm going to have to put Bitcoin on this list here. But yeah, Bitcoin closed for Sunday, the weekly close, above the 50-day simple moving average, which as you can see over here is 114,330, closed above that, trading above that right now. Maybe we see a flush because there's going to be a CME gap, but we might see massive rip your face off rally before we see the flush, before we fill the CME gap. Because I think that we're in, rip your face off rally mode. And so like what's happening in Bitcoin, I think that will be, happening with miners as well. So yeah, that's just wanted to throw that up there for some context. And I'll just continue on. Another day trader saying, what up, Andy? What up to you? Thank you for joining. And Benjamin, Bruce, and let's see, Ricardo. Sorry if I didn't cheers you guys, but cheers to all of you. Thanks for coming to hang out. And also let me know what you think about the time start. I might do it a little bit earlier just because it's getting darker earlier now. So I'm not working outside because it's dark out. And so I can start these a little bit earlier. I got work early in the morning, so that makes this a little bit more manageable for me. But yeah, cheers to you guys. Thank you for joining. And let's see. Bruce had this. Oh, wait, actually, no, I'm going backwards. Another day, another trade. I want to say another day trader. RR and NVTS. NVTS, I haven't looked at that in a little while. It might be your request. Last time you requested it might be the last time I looked at it. I can't remember, but I feel like that's probably going to be performing pretty well. We'll have to take a look. Another day, another trade. Cheers. I'm going to do it again. Because the trouble with these streams is I end up talking so much and I don't enjoy my bevies. Bruce is saying cheers to you, cheers to all of us, and then Sante. I'm not sure if that is, let's see, Benjamin, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that you are from Trinidad, is that correct? And so I'm not sure if that means cheers in customary there. But yeah, cheers to you. Sante. And so yeah, now I will go through the tickers that will be in the title, maybe thumbnail of this clip from Ticker Request Live. Just going over these. So I did go over Bitcoin, just mention it. I think the weekly close is really good, and I can actually switch that over to the weekly here. We can see that last week's candle did close above the 50-day simple moving average at 114,330. And we're above that now. So I think that's looking really good. But I'm not going to spend any more time talking about Bitcoin because I don't know that everybody's interested in crypto, although that's kind of where my headspace is right now. But yeah, let's go over to Jivo. That's the first one on the list. I'm just going to try to go down the list. And if there is time, I've got about 35 minutes before I'd like to end the stream so I can release those clips. And if there is time, I will take another round of requests. If not, then I'll just note them and I'll consider them to cover next week. And so for Jivo over here, this actually reminds me a little bit of the Neo chart because I had drawn, an inverse head and shoulders. And it looks like, it still could be coming down to over here. That would be around 220, maybe down to $2. As it has been consolidating, though, volume hasn't really been that high. So that could mean that if it gets another surge in volume, it could be breaking out from this. But it, did get rejected from here and then consolidated. So maybe that would be, bigger volume to the downside. And then maybe this move would play out. So that's kind of tough for me to say. I think it's good to evaluate a chart. What are the levels to the downside I could see this going to? What are the levels to the upside that I could see this going to? And, I feel like it's kind of 50-50 with this one, with Jivo, ticker symbol GEVO. I think it could be coming down to 2. I think it could be going up to 3. And current price is right around 250. So it's like, a 50-cent swing to the upside and downside. So I think that's, this is not one that I would feel so compelled to want to put my money on it. But maybe we could look at some options data and see if there's something there. By the way, Unusual Whales, I talk about them a lot. They do have a Halloween sale currently going on. I'm just seeing this right now. Get 15% off platform plans for up to 1 year. And so I'm not sure what the platform plan is. That might be what I use. But I just use it in, actually this does look like, it's an application rather than a website. So maybe that would be useful for me to actually just explore the application Unusual Whales. But yeah, what we're going to do now is look at some flow data, the flow feed, or we could go to the flow feed. It's not going to be moving right now. I guess I've zoomed in a little bit, so I'm going to zoom out some just so, it's familiar look for me. And I Didn't realize this, I thought that I had to type in a ticker over here to see the information and then I could pull it up. But what I could do is I could just go up here, type in GVO, hit enter, pull that up, and I got the net call put premium right here. And, what we can see, this is data from Friday, that net call premium went up by 7,000. Net put premium went up by $832. So it's like there's really not much money trading on this right now. So that doesn't make me think it's going to have a big move either to the upside or the downside. I don't think that there's anything really coming up unless we, take a step back. Let's look at the past 7 days. Did see some call premium going up here, but that was only up to, closing the day at around 83,000. So that's really not telling me that, there's going to be like a rip your face off rally because it's only $83,000 behind this. What we want to see is, I would say at least hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's whales putting money behind it. And we're not really seeing that. If we do go back the past 14 days, we actually see, looks like the selling of calls. And this actually looks, notable. It's the biggest deviation from like the zero line. So coming down, so that's not necessarily good. That is a decrease in net call premium of about 200,000. It looks like $199,210. So again, it's really not that much. It's just a couple $100,000, but the most amount of premium being traded on this company right now, on this ticker, is going to be net call premium to the downside. And so that would suggest that, it's probably going lower, but this is also, on October 15th, this dip here. And then if we do go back the past 30 days, we could see, there was some call premium up here, up $275,000. And following that, following this, the stock price in yellow did go up. But now we're not seeing, increases in net call premium. We're actually seeing more prominent decreases. So that would make me think that this is more likely to go to the downside than the upside. So I could see it going to $2 before going to $3. So I could see this inverse head and shoulders pattern playing out with the right shoulder being down here around $2. I could, of course, be wrong about that, but that's just kind of my perspective looking at that options data. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful for you. If I am, incorrect and it doesn't dip down, what I would like to see to kind of, invalidate the bearish case, or, just coming down $2 to invalidate that, I want to see closes above the high from October 15th. And that was a high of $2.95. So if we start to see closes above that, that would make me think that maybe this inverse head and shoulders pattern is going to be playing out, and that could be bringing the price up to maybe $4, somewhere around there. I'm not really sure, but that's what I would like to see to give me some confidence in this, and not really seeing it just yet. And so with that being said, hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to continue on to the next one, which is also from Ricardo, and this is RKT. So let's pull that up, Rocket Companies, and this one. So let's just remove the drawings for a second. Maybe you guys can see it very clearly. This doesn't look so good to me, and that's because it looks like it, but it actually could be doing something. And by the way, if there is overnight trading going on, I'm just going to be ignoring that in the tickers that I'm looking at, because, if something's gapping up a lot, I'm missing it. If it's not, it could just be, trying to get people to buy up here before it does continue down. So I don't know, whatever stock it is, I'm not going to be looking at the overnight data because I can't in TradingView. At least I haven't figured out how to. And perhaps, if I switch over to the 15-minute, that will include, let's see, the after hours, but yeah, no overnight trading. And so let's just look at this. Yeah, what I was going to say is that 50-day simple moving average is at 1858, and this closed on Friday at 1787. And it looks like it had a pretty big, nice, move up, but got rejected. Big rejection from that 50-day SMA, hitting a high on Friday, the 24th of 18 bucks and then closing lower. And yeah, so I don't think that looks especially good unless price were to start getting above like 1850 and really holding above there. And maybe I will pull up some charts in Webull. I'm just going to type them up here. And we can see, I'm just going to do GIVO real quick just so I can see that if there is any overnight trading. I am not seeing overnight trading with this one. Am I seeing anything with RKT? Let's see overnight trading. It is up some, about 2% from the close, which was at 1787. It's up about 38 cents. But again, that's not above 1858. That's not above that moving average. Over here, it's in yellow. I apologize about that if that's confusing. But that's the same line here and at 1858. So what I want to see is if it, can gap above that and hold above 1858, then I think that would look really good. But we're not seeing that. And so what I could see, and this is probably going to be discouraging, but I'm just trying to give my perspective on this. I'll look at the options data as well. Maybe this would look a little bit better there. But I'm just doing a Fibonacci extension to the downside. So that's from the top here to the low up to the high here. And, maybe there's some confluence of levels with that uptrend that I have drawn there based on the lows from, I imagine, January of this year, and then retesting them in April and May over here, retesting that trend line. And so that would be a pullback to around the 786 fib extension, and that's around 1315. That would be corresponding with this uptrend. I probably talked about that before as a possibility. And so hopefully that's not a terrible surprise or anything, but we can also see, that's the 786 fib extension. That's an orange there. So from the top there, basically the distance from here to here, but taken from here. And actually, no, that would be the 100%. So I'll illustrate that here with a little trend line drawing coming down here. And that would be, coming to that 100%. So not even going to that 100% extension, going to the 786, it's around 13 bucks. We also have the 786 for this fib retracement that goes from the low over here from January 13th up to the high from September 11th. And that 786 is around 1271 or, right around 13 bucks, plus or minus that area. So I'd be prepared for that. One thing that's maybe a little bit encouraging is this increased volume. However, relative to the volume that we saw on the upside here, this volume is a lot more. It's a lot more volume. And the result is getting rejected from the 50-day SMA. Whereas over here, smaller, less sustained volume candles led to a very big move to the upside. We're not seeing that we're getting rejected. So maybe what we need to see is that retracement to the 786 or, this extension here, the 786 to the downside around 13 bucks. Maybe 13 isn't hit. Maybe 13.15 isn't hit. So maybe, it's a good idea to consider that with spreads, ranges, levels not exactly getting hit. So maybe it comes down to 14. And with it trading around 18 bucks right now, 14 is a discount, so just be prepared for that possibility. But then let's look over at the data here, and let's type in ARC. Oh, and actually, before I do that, sorry, I'm jumping around with GIVO as well, but since Ricardo requested it, I think he's probably all right. This is Rocket, so let's see. I'm going to go back to GIVO. Sorry about that. I just want to look at the Greek, see what max pain is. So with this having closed at 245, or, in the after hours at 245, max pain for November monthly expiration is 150. So it could be coming notably lower. So $2 based on these max pains isn't out of the picture in my view. But yeah, now let's just look over at Rocket real quick. They do have earnings, looks like being reported on Thursday, so October 30th in the after hours. And based on options data, the move would be expected to be about 9% either to the upside or downside, which would be a plus or minus $1.60 move. So do keep that in mind. Looking at Rocket over here, this does look better, much better than what we're looking at with Gevo. And that is that we see net call premium up over $1 million. So on Friday, net call premium went up by $1.49 million, whereas net put premium in red here was up by 291,000, right around there. So while they're both up, it's more notable the amount of money that the net call premium is up. So I would say that looks more bullish than bearish. We can also, maybe before I forget, let's look over at the Greeks just to look at Max Pain. It's being around 18 bucks. Hopefully it registered. I did click it. But yeah, it looks like Max Pain for the next few weeks, really actually getting into, throughout November, Max Pain is either $17 or $16.50 at the end of the month, gets up to $18 in December. So maybe there is a little bit of a pullback based on this Max Pain, but if the momentum is actually shifted in the upward direction and price starts to go notably higher than 17, Max Pain might serve as a magnet to pull price down, but the price action being so much higher than Max Pain could trigger a gamma squeeze or a gamma ramp that might last, 5 additional days or something, not like a big picture type of view, but it could, keep the momentum going higher if it does start to move. But yeah, let's just look at the premium here going back 3 days just to take a second. We can see net put premium not yesterday, but on Thursday went up by 1.93 million. So that actually seems kind of bearish, although this volume does suggest some selling. So what we might want to do, I am going to, pull it up in another window. Go to Unusual Whales, go to Flow Data, and then I'm going to go to the Flow Feed. I'm not sure. Is that actually what I want to do? Yeah, because I'm very curious about this put. And since we do have data from the day after that, we can see if those puts were being bought or sold. Just because the premium went up doesn't mean they were bought. And this red down here could indicate that they were being sold, and that would actually be bullish. So I could be wrong. This is how data can, prove an initial thesis wrong. And so this big spike was right around noon. And at noon 05, net call premium had gone up, net put premium had gone up by over $1.6 million. So a pretty big spike there. And so that's around noon on Thursday. So let's just filter this by ticker. So Rocket up here. And this is data from Friday. Don't need to look at that. This is data from Thursday. That's what we're interested in. And we're interested in data right around noon. And what we can see is this put at noon 08. That's actually interesting because I would have, let's see I'm looking at this over here. This is at noon. This is at 12:05. So I actually want something before 12:08. So I'm kind of puzzled by this put here. But yeah, let's see. What do I have the filter for premium over here? Probably, is that 1 million or 100,000? Let's just do 10,000. Let's do 50,000 minimum premium. And again, we're just going to look at data from the 23rd. And again, that's 12:08, so it's a little bit late. Let's do 10,000 minimum premium. And scrolling down here, I'm actually going to filter this by time range. So let's just filter this by the 23rd right here. And so we're just looking at data from that day. Hopefully this is useful for you guys in looking at this. I'm not sure why it's saying nothing there, because there were trades. What did I do? 1023? No trades. This is annoying. What did I do? Let's just clear that. And what I'm going to do instead, because that should work. I'm gonna filter again. October 23rd, apply. There were trades. Premium, minimum premium. I don't know what's going on. So I'm just going to clear this. Sorry for the fuss. And then I'm just going to change the results to 250. So we got 250 results here. Should be able to scroll back to the 23rd. And we're not. So maybe I'll make this, let's see, 10,000. Let's just do it to 20,000. Does this go back to the 23rd? No. Let's see. 30. There we go. So let's see, 30,000 minimum. Looking at the 23rd, 1208. Yeah. So maybe I just want to look at these puts. Maybe there's something there, but that's kind of, frustrating. I would expect that to show up. And, maybe what I could do is let's look at the next page. Actually, I'm going to do this by 10,000 because I'm kind of surprised that it's not showing data for the, okay, so 250, let's go to previous. So this should include the 24th here, and then we scroll down, 23rd. Okay, something was screwed up. I don't know what it was. But right around noon, we should start to see some stuff. I don't know what it is. But yeah, let's just look at this. This is a $16 put for October 31st, a little bit later than I'd expect to see. And, I'm going to want to go back to the 23rd over here. And so we see this net put premium increase between 12 and 12:10. It's a 10-minute candle. And that premium for that candle was around 1.6 million. And that does match the increase that we saw over here. What we do see is an increase in the open interest for that contract. And it looks like open interest was previously 11.8 thousand. Open interest goes up by about 40,000. Now it's around 51.7 thousand contracts open. These could be, cash secured puts selling. That would make me think that there could be some upside for this. But yeah, it's not like millions of dollars. So let's see, let's just come over to this. This is not really giving me a clear signal. But I would think that this is more so bullish than bearish. We go back the past 7 days. Buying of calls potentially over here, unless this red volume means they were being sold. I'm not sure. Not going to look into it, spending too much time on this. But net call premium was up over here by $2.6 million. So maybe that's good. Price did go up following that, so that looks good. But then 14 days did have net put premium up here by more than about $4.37 million. So yeah, that could be bearish over there. And then the past 30 days, ups and downs, there's no clear trend with it. So yeah, I'm having a tough time with this one. Maybe the bullish moves are over, but I'd really just keep an eye on that 50-day simple moving average, 1858. I think that's going to be key. If price is lower than 1858, that moving average is going to be moving lower. If price is above 1858, it's going to be moving higher. And so I'd keep an eye on that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that one. So hopefully they were helpful. And then now I'm going to go over to FMST. Excuse me. This is Foremost Clean Energy, FMST. This is holding above the 50-day simple moving average, which is at 323. Closing price on Friday, it looks like it was at 380. And what we do see here is lower highs in the stock price, and those correspond with lower highs in the RSI. So there's no bearish divergence there, so that's looking good. What you do see, though, as it is attempting to move higher, you actually see lower volume. So, even on the increases in volume there, not enough to get it up here. So what we could see is, volume continue to fade a little bit, this pullback some more, maybe test the 50 SMA, maybe break below it like it broke below it over here. And maybe that's either a dip buying opportunity or it's going to keep going lower. I really don't know. No idea. Just laying out scenarios. But yeah, I mean, we need to see the volume picking up and stock price moving to higher highs following that. We're not seeing it just yet, though. Let's do a little Fibonacci retracement here just so we can get an idea of approximate lows to approximate highs. Did pull back to below the 618 over here and is currently trading right around the 382, which is at 372. And yeah, what we do have also, I'm just going to draw a very casual trend line here, higher lows. So we want to see it holding those higher lows. Maybe it's getting to like this pennant formation and that it's going to be breaking either to the upside or the downside. No idea what it's going to be doing. This is clean energy. I think that energy is kind of a very hot topic, whether it's clean or not. AI is really creating the need for energy. So any kind of energy play could be very good. So this might be really nice for that. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'd look for it to start breaking out above the high from October 15th, which was at 457. If we can get closes above that, and then let's see, I'm just going to doodle it out here with my little path tool. If we get a close above, what did I say the high was on the 15th? Get a close above 457, then that would be like a confirmation of this breakout. And then if we get a retest of this downtrend, having that prior close would suggest that this would be more likely to be acting as support, and then this goes higher. But if we don't get a close above, let's see, I'm just going to mark it here so we can see it, 457. Hopefully I can get it just right. I have to adjust it over here. Be a 457. If we're not able to get closes above that, then this could end up not being a retest, but actually a breakdown and fall lower. So good to keep that in mind. I'll look at the options data real quick, but can't be spending too much time on all of these. But yeah, FMST, let's look at the Greeks. It closed around, let's see, what did it close at over here? FMST, I guess I pulled up the wrong chart because it closed at 380 unless this went up massively. No, this is Rocket. I don't know what I'm doing. FMST, so I don't think that there's any options data for FMST, and that's why it pulled up Rocket. So, yeah, with this one, those are some levels that I'd look for it to reclaim, and I'd look for it to hold above the 50-day SMA, which is at like 323. But yeah, a close above, let's see, the high of 457, retest, and then bounce. That's what I would look for. And then the next one is going to be ATLX. So I'll pull that up. This is at Atlas Lithium Corporation. Very interesting. Energy again, a very interesting space. This is trading right around the 50-day SMA, which is currently at 539. Closed on Friday at 577. Did put in a higher high here, which you guys might not like this, but actually it's put in a series of higher highs. But just more recently, there was a lower high, although this high didn't correspond with the high over here. So maybe there's a little bit of bearish divergence, but we did see a pullback here. And actually, if we do look at this, just doing a Fibonacci from the approximate bottoms to like just the highs there, not even the tippy top highs, like the open from the 15th, we can see we got a full retrace, or not a full retrace, but a retrace to the 786. So a 78.6% retracement to around 520. Got a nice bounce there, closing at 577. That 50 SMA again at 539. So want to see how it responds to that, if it holds as support. But just like, the fake out, or, the breakdown below the 50 SMA over here, that led, from the 50 SMA to a 65% move to the upside. And then over here, once got back above, that led to a 55% move to the upside, now back above the 50 SMA. So if that was 65, then 55, maybe we could see a 45% move from the SMA there, which a 45% move would put price to around $7.50 to $8, somewhere around there. Ballpark, it says 781, but somewhere around there. So I think that's possible. But we do see, volumes picked up a lot over here. Volume's been increasing generally. But, prices retracted a lot. So, yeah, I guess it would be a big concern, in my view, if price came back down to here around 450, putting in lower lows. As of right now, what we're seeing is, generally, over here, I guess maybe I won't do it from there because it's not necessarily that clear that that's higher lows. But from over here, the lows over here, we have been putting in higher lows. So like breaking down below 450 would then, shift that to a lower low. And maybe that's short term. Maybe it's a fake out. Maybe it's an opportunity, but maybe it's actually starting to break down. So something to consider there. But then this one, that's ATLX. So let's pull that up over here just to look at some of the options data for some context. Max Pain, only monthly contracts, and it looks like it's $5. Current price is above $5, so that doesn't really seem to be that good. If we do look at the overview over here, if that loads, what we can see is net call premium went up, but only by $20,000. So this is like a nothing burger. Go back the past 3 days. That's the most amount of call premium going up, but we do see call premium going down on Wednesday, the 22nd, but that only came down by about $47,000. So again, it's not in the hundreds of thousands. I don't think that this is necessarily that spectacular. And we do see a lower net call premium drawdown over here on the 17th. And that was a decrease, though, of $101,000. So really, it's still not that much money. And this is coming down in calls. So this is presumably selling calls, especially with the volume looking red there. So this could be suggesting that price is not going to bounce from the 50-day SMA. It might be rolling over. We did see a big increase in net call premium over here, which was an increase of $176,000 before this run up here. But yeah, that's old news. And then the past 30 days. Yeah, so maybe there's like this oscillation in the stock price, which is in yellow, where you see it move up here, pull back, and maybe it's going to round out and then make another attempt to go higher, but also maybe not. So good to keep that in mind. Yeah, so I'd really I would not want to see what was the close over here on the 18th. The low, I should say, what was the low was 441. So I feel like you absolutely do not want to see price going below 441. And ideally, you'd want to see it holding this uptrend. And it does seem like it may have bounced just above there. So, if you draw this uptrend and you're like, oh, maybe there's a trend line here, the next time it tests, I'm going to load the boat. Hypothetically, I'm not in it, not planning on participating. Just thinking about this psychologically, I draw this trend line, then when it gets retested, then I'm going to buy it all. But it doesn't come down low enough to test that trend line, and I get left behind. So there's a possibility there. Just wanted to throw that out there. No idea upside or downside. Hopefully that perspective is useful, is helpful. The next one on the list is one that I hold, so I'll go over that from over here. And this is from Benjamin, which is MARA, ticker symbol MARA, which used to be Marathon Holdings or Marathon Digital Holdings, but I think they've just abbreviated it to MARA Holdings up here. And so this, I've got the inverse head and shoulders pattern, and that's effectively, played out to test the neckline. And we have gotten this little bit of a pullback. If I do flip over to, I'm just going to do the hours so we're not getting so many details on there. But it doesn't include the overnight over here, actually. So that's not really that useful. So I'm just going to pull this back over here. Maybe I'll pull it up over here. So Mara, in the overnight trading, it's above 20, 2050 or 2049. So looking really good there. I'm going to remove my drawings on this just because actually, this drawing over here that I saw in Webull is what inspired me to do the drawing over here. Took profits on my calls, had some cash on the side, and I'm still holding one call, still holding my shares, which is not a large position. But yeah, I think that this is probably going to go. I think that this is, let's see, I adjust the y-axis there. This is like the move here. And then I think what we want to see is an attempt to get higher than the high here. So the high on the 15th of October was 23.45. What we want to see now are some closes above that level. And so then when we get a retest of that uptrend, it's more likely to hold as support, and then it continues higher, just as I've doodled there. I went over last time, so hopefully that's a helpful perspective with that one. But I feel like there was something else. Oh yeah, over here. What did I want to talk about over here? I wanted to look at the overnight trading. So I'm just going to remove my drawings. And let's look at the 10-minute time frame. So we have the overnight here, or sorry, the after hours over here, hanging out around those moving averages, which change based on the time frame. So the blue is the 200-minute moving average. And we saw this nice gap up, testing a high of 2050 in the overnight trading. I think that Bitcoin, Mara, miners, anything crypto adjacent, whatever, I think it's probably going to be performing pretty well, but maybe, I'm, a top signal. But yeah, I'd look for it to close above the highs here. If we do look at some options data, I do have some contract that I look at. Actually, this is one that I hold. I hold one of these. It's the $50 strike call that expires in January. I don't necessarily think price is going to be closing above 50 for that expiration. I think this contract could be going to zero, so take that with a grain of salt. But over here, what we can see is net call premium has come down. And that came down on Friday by about $3.67 million. I think that anybody taking profits on those calls, they're going to be missing out on whatever Mara's opening at tomorrow. I think that the premium for these contracts is going to be a little bit higher. My average for the one contract is 37 cents. And if we notice the low over here, really, we could just scroll down. The low from last week was 67 cents. So, even holding the one contract at an average price of 37, even if it doesn't close above 50 during that expiration, I'm pretty safe as far as being green with my position, my one contract. And so I'm just holding it. It's like my YOLO or not YOLO, it's my moon bag to see what happens. And, I can hold it without emotion because I've made enough money on my other same contract, but other contracts that I was holding. And let's just see over here, going past 3 days, net call premium coming down, and the past 7 days, net call premium, was down more so over here down by almost $9 million. Stock price has come down lower. That's in yellow. Maybe we're about to see some rip your face off rallies. So I think Mara's looking good. I'm hanging tight. I'm not worried about it. It's a position I'm just chilling. And I think it's going to be a great performer. So, and since, I guess, to be fair, since I did go over the max pains for the other ones, let's look at Mara's max pain. Just the Greeks over here. The Greeks, come on. Load. There we go. For this Friday, it's 1950. But if momentum is bringing that stock price higher, like what we're seeing over here around 2050. Maybe the stock price gets the max pain to move higher throughout the week. Feel free to comment on a video, ask me to follow up on the max pain, and I can share what that is. You can also just like Google search maximumpain.com. That's what, or it might be maximum-pain.com. It's a website I typically use, or, unusual whales. Yep, 1950, and then the weeks after 19. So we might not be in the clear just yet, in the green, whatever. But I think it's looking good. I feel good about crypto into the end of the year. And let's just flip back over to this. This was 0.75 at the beginning of the stream. I'm just going to refresh this page. Still 0.75, hasn't changed, nothing crazy. Oh, well, because that's still, that's October. It's expired, it's ended. So we want to look over here. I guess to look at something, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's still above 115. So I think that's looking good. And then the next one's on the list. I'm going a little bit over time, and then I'll check the chats for any other requests to maybe go over during the week. But RR looks like it's Rytech or Richtech Robotics. I'd say Richtech. I don't know. Richtech. And one thing I didn't have on here, the watermark. I want to have that up there so you guys can see. RR Richtech Robotics. And so this one, I would encourage you check out, let's see, Colin's video over here, because he talks a little bit about Elliott wave, and the pattern that we're seeing here does kind of remind me of what he was talking about with Elliott wave, where you have, like the first move here, the first wave, then the second wave, you get this pullback, and then the third wave is the biggest wave, and then the fourth wave pullback, fifth wave, not as big as what you saw for the third wave over here, and then it starts to be like more distributive. And so maybe that's what we're starting to see here, that maybe the move's over, not sure. But what we can do from like the lows over here, little Fibonacci retracement, that looks like it was a pretty perfect 786 retracement. And then over here, we can do that again. Just approximate highs, that was about a 50% retracement. And we can also get kind of a measurement of the distance of those moves. I'll do that in just a second. I just want to do this one more retracement over here. And that was a retracement to around the 618. So, yeah, I mean, this could be more distributive, that this could start to roll over, maybe test that 50-day simple moving average, which is around 426. So I think that's a real possibility. But just getting measurements of these moves, we saw a percentage move of about 96% over here for that like leg one, or the first wave of the Elliott wave. And then over here, we saw 143% move or so for that second leg, that third wave. And that would be, the biggest one that you would expect. And then the next one, let's see, 143 is what we want to beat. And we saw about a 90% move to the upside. So I think that this could be, Elliott wave completion, and that this starts to roll over. But I could also be wrong about that. I think that this could be taken off. And maybe it does, this, Elliott wave here. And then maybe it does another cycle of Elliott waves and just continues higher. So that is something to consider. But it could also, fade like this, consolidate, and then move up. So good to consider that. I'm just going to pull it up in in Webull, so I can see if there are some after hours action on it or some overnight action. Doesn't look like it. This is just the after hours from Friday, consolidating up here. And that was, right around the close, so nothing too crazy there. It closed at 6:08, and the after hours closed at 6:10. And so let's just look over at some of the options data over here. So that's RR. And we can look at Max Pain with price around $6, 610, somewhere around there. Max Pain for this coming or last Friday. I think most of the ones I've been looking at have been monthly contracts, but so this past Friday, the 24th, Max Pain was 550, and we closed not only above 550, and by we I mean RR, I don't hold it, closed not only above Max Pain, which was 550, but closed above the next strike up, which would be $6. So I think that's a good look. And then the Max Pain for this coming Friday on Halloween is $4. And so that makes me think maybe this is in, gamma territory, gamma ramp territory, but maybe it could be pulling back to 4 if it loses some momentum. So that's just something to consider. But if we look at the overview over here, if this loads, come on, overview. All right. What we can see, net call premium moving up with stock. So that's looking good. How much is the net call premium up? About $871,000. So that's looking pretty good. That's a sizable amount of net call premium increase as net put premium is effectively flat. Let's go back the past 3 days. Net call premium went from, being low, being negative, 350,000 to being positive, 520,000 to being positive, about 871,000. So that's like a trend in the right direction. Go back the past 7 days, kind of, maybe it's like forming a bottom over here. Now it's starting to take off. Past 14 days, kind of a lot of noise here. In the past 30. So what we're seeing over here, not getting up to $1 million, it has gotten up to $1 million in the past. 2.29 million net call premium increase on September 26th. And then following that, stock price in yellow rose a good amount. So we're not seeing, millions of dollars in net call premium going up. Once we start seeing that, I think that this could be taken off. As of right now, maybe it needs a couple more days, or maybe it's not just not going to happen. But yeah, I'd look for, I guess, the 236 is around 650. I'd look for it to start pushing above that, starting to close above that. And then I think that that's, starting to suggest that, hey, this is getting into, the upside, potential. Like over here, when it got back above here, just above that purple line, the 236 just went up. Above the 236, pulled back to that, just went up. So maybe this could be going higher. And if it does go higher, I would say levels of resistance, and maybe it blows past this, but then maybe it returns to it. But just like the high over here, so that was from October 7th, that was at 743. I'm just going to adjust that to be exactly the high. So 743. That could be, a nice level to maybe trim at. If it blows past it, that means that the order is getting filled and the trim is able to happen. If it goes higher than that, where might it go to? Did see some consolidation over here. And so I might actually just draw a box around that. And let's see, the drawing tool, little rectangle. Got some, consolidation over here. And so that could be getting up to like 842. So maybe 750 to 850 could be some resistance to the upside. And then, of course, you're also going to have the highs over here. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't draw. I did. I put that there. I'll just move it. But over here, what we have was I imagine shortly after IPO on January 24th, the high was 1229. But, were orders able to get filled? Oh, I'm moving all this crap around. Were orders able to get filled at 1229? Some, but it was just a pinprick of that level. It wasn't like retested. And so what I would see as a better level to I would be a level where we had multiple days overlapping with it. And so here on January 23rd of 2024, we saw a close at 1110 that overlapped with the following day on the 24th of January 2024, and it nearly got a test of that on the 25th when there was a high of 1098. So I would say if one was to go long this, the levels that I would see as being resistance, potentially 750 to 8, but if that's broken through, I would think right around 11. If that is broken through, that's great. That means orders are getting filled. But then I think that it could be retested as support. So that would be a time to, either trim, in my view, or exit and then re-enter on that retest of 11. So hopefully that's helpful there. And then finally, the request that I have is going to be, the last request that I have is going to be NVTS. And so I'm surprised I don't have drawings up on this in Vista. This is, I believe, semiconductors. Is that not correct? In Vista, pharmaceuticals. Okay, so I guess this is pharmaceutical potentially. I thought it was something else. But let's see, NVST. Maybe I've drawn some stuff over here. NVST. And also we can see there's some overnight trading. No overnight trading. If I do switch this over to the daily and put my drawings up there, it doesn't look like I've put any drawings up on this one. So, but we do have I guess the colors are reversed, but the light blue line, that's the 50-day moving average. And then the 200-day is, the 200-day is in blue down here. And the 50 is, in yellow, and that's resistance. So, yeah, I mean, this does look like it could be getting rejected from there. So do keep that in mind. 50-day SMA is at 2058. This is putting in, let's see, a trend of, lower highs. And maybe, what I want to do is do a little parallel. This is, a little bit wonky, but we can wonk it around. Yeah, so I feel like that there's this downtrending resistance that's plus or minus 10% effectively. The thick white line to the thin white line, same with the bottom. 50% is the blue dashed line. And so, yeah, I mean, it's getting into not only the resistance of that 50-day SMA, but also from that downtrend. So I feel like this is more likely to pull back. Do I think it's going to pull back to test the bottom of the channel again? I mean, it could, but it could also just pull back to the 50%, get people to think it's going to pull back down to here, maybe double bottom around 1817, or go a little bit lower. Or maybe the people who are waiting for that to happen get left behind, bounces, retest that 50% level as support, and then it goes higher. So that could happen. I don't know. It's just a doodle. But I could see it pulling back. I mean, I feel like this is, if I'm wrong and this breaks out, then that's the best case scenario. But from my perspective, the best case scenario is for this to pull back a little bit. And, just based on that, I'm imagining it's going to be between the 50 and the 618. But let's just do a little Fibonacci retracement here. I'm going to do it from the open on the 14th rather than the low. And let's just go up to here to the open on Friday. And I've doodled that down to around the 618. If I would have done it all the way to the bottom and all the way to the top, that would still, right around, the 618. So either way, that looks like that would be a fine retracement. And that would be kind of a confluence of levels, the 50% level of that trend channel, parallel channel. And then also a 618. Maybe it just gets to the 50%. That would be around 1968. So with it currently trading or having closed at like 2036, I feel like this could come down about $1 more. But maybe I'm wrong. That'd be like a 5% drawdown. Let's just see if I mental math that correctly. Yeah, but 5% or so, 4%. Let's say 4%. So that's possible. But then let's look at some options data and see what that's telling us. I was thinking NVTS, not, wait a second. I think this one's wrong. I think that NVTS, I was looking at the wrong one. So, hey, if you guys are interested in NVST, I typoed, I fat fingered that. NVTS, this is Nvitas. Semiconductors, that makes more sense. But yeah, I am going to include a note that I also went over NVST. Maybe that's helpful, but I'm not going to go over the options data since it wasn't requested. We do have this, head and shoulders pattern that didn't play out. It looks like that was a bad call. But, sometimes when you get consolidations like that, you see patterns like that and it fakes people out, shakes people out, and, shakes out the weak hands. And so I'm sorry if I encourage that, but, I'm proven wrong a lot. No big deal. It's part of it. And with this, what we see is the big move to the upside, pullback consolidation as volume decreases. So I say that this actually looks pretty good, looks healthy, although it was a pullback and then consolidation rather than a consolidation up here. So maybe that could be interpreted as like a bear flag. And so that would be like, pull down here to the low and then up to these highs. So something like that could be retesting, 10 or lower. It's currently at like $14, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to delete these other retracements and stuff because I don't think they're going to be too useful. And I don't think it's coming down to 631 that I've drawn down there. But let's see, from like this pullback here, we could do a Fibonacci retracement just to get an idea. Just about the approximate lows here, approximate highs. And the 618 will be coming down to, look at that, right around $10. That's hand wavy because I did approximate lows to like consolidation highs. But yeah, 618 right around $10. That's a possibility. And if we do look at the past, we do have some support just below $10, actually around 9. Prior resistance would then become support. So if it does pull back below the 618 or below $10, I think that that's $9, $9 to $10 is a dip buying opportunity if one was to go long. Also should note that earnings coming up on November 3rd. So that's going to be on Monday next week, I believe, if I am correct about that. But yeah, let's see. I wouldn't be surprised if this pulled back to $10. I'm just saying. I think that'd be a dip buying opportunity if this was to continue to go higher. We do see, the RSI is slightly higher over here, but both of them are, it's approximately the same height. You can see that cursor going across. Just a little bit higher, not much higher. And so that makes me think that there's some weak bearish divergence, potentially with the high over here being so much higher and the high in the RSI not being that much higher. So maybe, and also the RSI, even though it's pulled back, it was at a high of 89.81. Maybe it needs to cool off a little bit over here. Some more, because now the RSI is at like 64. So maybe it does need to come down a little bit more. And let's just look at some options data real quick. Then I'll just check the chat. I'll note any additional tickers, but I'm not going to go over any more after this one. I'm sorry about that. I've got work early in the morning and I'm usually dead tired Mondays because of the stream actually. So I don't want to be up too late. Net call premium. It looks like, there's not much stuff going on over here, at least not on Friday. And what we can see is there's no real data here in the options. It's just nothing burger all around. Over here, net call premium was as high as $43,000. So, it's really nothing. So I wouldn't really put too much weight on options data. If we are to look at max pain though, $20, and then to $12.50, but that's in March, monthly contracts. So yeah, let's see, let's just look at the chart. I feel like bullish sentiment across the market. Let's actually look up the chart over here because NVTS, I know I've gone over this in the past. I don't have anything doodled on it over here, or at least nothing that's relevant. But yeah, I think that this is potentially, worst case scenario, pulling back to 10, in my view. 10, maybe to 9, but in that range, 10 to 9. And, but yeah, I mean, I think that this could be going, I guess if it were to be going higher, some levels, I'd consider taking some risk off the table, like trimming, maybe leaving some risk still on the table, but that would be around $17 to the upside. It's currently around 14. It's corresponding with the highs there. A scenario is it goes up like this, and then really shoots up, but then gets rejected and then comes down like that. So, that would be a good level to trim at, so one could more comfortably buy down here. But if it does go higher than that, where could I see it getting rejected at afterwards? And also, hey, look at this. I was going to point out the little peak over here, and that's right around $17. So I might actually just move this to over here. I'll just zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. What was the high here? On December 30th of 2021, the high was $16.95. So I'm just going to leave it right around $17. But yeah, over here, got kind of like a double top there. A little bit. Couple candles overlapping over here, getting a retest over here. That's around $20. So I could see $20 acting as resistance if it's able to get past 17. But, it's possible that it goes down to 10 either before or after getting to 17. So, yeah, but I mean, I've been less bullish on this in the past and I was wrong. So maybe this is being overly cautious, but 17 and 20 seem like good levels to trim in my view. And if this was to, let's say hypothetically, do what I have doodled out here, I'm just going to do a little fib extension from the lows over here up to the highs here and then down to that 618. And we can see then the 618 gets us back to like 1750. But the one, that's a 618. The 786 would get us to around 1950. But the 100% move, which would be, like the measurement from the lows over here up to that high, and then just take that from the lows here, that would be around $22. So maybe it does blow past 20. Maybe it gets rejected around 22 and then maybe finds 20 or 17 as support before continuing to the upside, or just spending a lot of time moving sideways and wasting people's time and, whatnot. But yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. I'm just going to check the chat really quick to note any additional requests that I will consider for the week. Just check in on everybody over there. And so... Oh, okay, cool. And I'm seeing this from Benjamin. I'm just going to pull this up. Let's see. Benjamin is saying that it is French for cheers, and that is referring to santé, which I'm going to have a hard time. Oh, right here. There you go. Santé is French for cheers. So cheers to you guys. I'm going to check on the other chats, and then I will end the stream, unfortunately. But I'm already going about 30 minutes, about 25 minutes now over what I had listed on the thumbnail. And then Benjamin's just following up. But English is the native language of Trinidad and Tobago. Very cool to learn about that there. I don't know if any of you guys have been to the Caribbean, but Trinidad and Tobago, those going to be the Lesser Antilles. So they're going to be further out beyond. My geography might be really bad. I used to study the Caribbean, but beyond like Puerto Rico, south and east of Puerto Rico. And so very, very cool. Santé is the French word for cheers. Prost is the German word for cheers. Salud is the Spanish word for cheers. And so I would imagine that, are all of those languages spoken there in Trinidad? In grad school, I had a friend who was German. He'd say Prost. I spent a good amount of time, or actually, no, I spent a lot of time in Italy. And what they would say in Italy is salute. So it's very similar to Spanish, salud, but salute, I believe. I might be mispronouncing it. I might be a little bit rusty on my Italian, but a lot of great memories in Italy. Spent some time in Spain. I almost moved to Germany, but I didn't end up doing that. And then, studying the Caribbean. But yeah, let's just continue on with the chats. How it's going in gratitude, DGen Ed, is from Coinage Stocks. It's going pretty well. Do I have any sell puts for AMC? I have not sold any puts for AMC. In the video, I did go over the $3, put. This is one I would be interested in buying, but I don't necessarily want to be buying hundreds of shares of AMC. I've got enough, and I'm excited about other stuff. But this is the one that, I would consider selling to collect a premium of at least 45 cents, and that would put the average buy at $2.55 per share if it closed below $3 on November 21st. But if it closes above, I just collect that $45 in premium, and I'd be happy about that. I wouldn't be picking up, or I could be buying shares, but from the contract would not be picking up any. And so Coinage is asking, how do I pull up the Max Pain chart? So if you have Unusual Whales, I'll show it from Unusual Whales really quick. If you go to like the flow data over here, actually, no, it's, I usually go to like the home screen here, but they just changed this. So I'm not going to do it from there. It's like the flow super. And so what you could do is if you just look at these, you want to look for Greeks for Unusual Whales, market data. I think it's down here. Oh, chart. I don't want to be doing chart. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be under Ticker Explorer. And then you can scroll down here to, it's behind Ed. I might have him move out of the way just so you can see. But from the Ticker Explorer, so this icon right here, Ticker Explorer, scroll down to Greeks, and that is how you would pop up the Greeks up here. But you could also do that by, if you have a full screen net call and put premium chart up here, you got tab for insider transactions as well as Greeks up here. So you could find that. If you don't have access to Unusual Whales, I'm not sure if the Max Pain data is free there, but the one that I used to use is, and when I use on my phone if I'm looking up stuff, Maximum Pain. I think it's Maximum Pain. And so, yeah, this website here, so this is pulling up Apple, but yeah, and this is, I guess you can't see it, but yeah, you could just go to maximum-pain.com, and then you want to go over to the options charts. And then from there, you could type in whatever ticker you like. And this can be a little bit wonky. So like, this is going to show data for October 27th. And so we could then scroll down to see that. And actually, I had talked about Mara some, so I'll just do that for the example. So for October 31st, this Friday, you scroll down and you'd see the Max Pain there. It's 19. Oops, I just zoomed that or scrolled that up. And then from here, you'd want to just adjust this to then the following Friday, November 7th, scroll down. And now just always check to make sure the date is right there. And that's a free website that you can use that you could look stuff up at. And so, yeah, and then let's see. I might just flip through the chat real quick. Actually, it's not super bad, so it's not too bad. Anon is saying, Andy, give me a good small cap ticker. I'm thinking SGBX. I don't know. Of the ones that I've covered, you could kind of, get my perspective on those. I don't know what the market cap is of ASST, but I'm excited about that one. It's only like $1 to $2 per share right now. So that's one that I would give, I guess. But you trade your strategy. That could be probably a shorter term swing or a longer term hold. I'm going to note SGBX in my little notepad so I can consider it for the week. But I'm not going to dive into any more charts. Anon, hopefully, my perspective, stuff that I was talking about. Anon is saying, hey, you read my mind. You read my mind. I don't have a position in it. I do have some limit buy orders for like 10 shares, blocks of 10 shares. Maybe some of them get filled, maybe some of them don't. But to be honest, like I got to work in the morning and I'm going to be waking up when the pre-markets, or I'm going to be sleeping when the pre-markets open. I might place some buys for ASTS. Let's see, I might check my phone also to see if we have any overnight data. But if this is, potentially going up to, let's see, 368, this moving average, buying at 2 wouldn't be that big of a deal. So yeah, I'm just going to pull up the chart. I only have after hours data, unfortunately, on Webull. But like I have, like I said, a buy for 10 shares at 110, a buy for 10 shares at 124. I might place a buy at 150. 169 and $2 because I'm an idiot. And we'll see what happens. And that's just 10 shares each. Not a lot, but then I get to participate. So I'm not FOMOing after open or anything. I'm not FOMOing when I'm at work or whatever. And another day, another trades. Thanks for the thoughts on the analysis. I'm glad you enjoyed, found it helpful. Benjamin's saying, Trinidad and Tobago, very near Venezuela. Also, I'm wondering if that would be, I don't know if because I don't think that the U.S.'s relationships with Venezuela regarding oil are really that good right now. I might be wrong about that. I'm not really sure, but I wonder if you experience any of that firsthand or secondhand, I guess, being so near Venezuela. If you see like U.S. naval ships around there or any crazy stuff going on. But it's a very interesting part. I mean, I used to study the ocean, so I view the Caribbean as a very interesting part of the ocean. It kind of at the surface, it's connected to the ocean, but I could really nerd out on it, but the island rings, the Greater and Lesser Antilles, really separate it from the Atlantic, and that creates a kind of deeper, interesting deep circulation in those basins, and it hasn't really been studied that much, so I kind of focused on that, but didn't get to do too much. Benjamin's saying that he did live in Germany for 3 years, specifically in Berlin. Very cool. I've been to Germany, but I've been to Hamburg, and I've been to, I almost took a postdoc, which is like a 1 to 2 year temporary research position in Kiel. So I've been to Kiel, and and I've actually been to Germany multiple times, once to kind of do interviews there, and once just for fun. I love Germany. It's so much great country. And let's just see, Trinidad and Tobago is, yes, Lesser Antilles. That's what I was thinking. And 1/3 of the population of the Lesser Antilles resides in Trinidad and Tobago. So very, very cool there. Actually, when I was in grad school in Miami, there was a woman, I'm not sure if she was from Trinidad or Tobago. I think Trinidad, and she just had a very wonderful accent and very nice person. Trinidad and Tobago get along very well with the U.S. I would imagine so, based on my limited experience with this woman in Miami. But yeah, also like I don't know. I feel like I mean my perspective would be skewed regarding Venezuelan relations. But yeah, I would think that they're a little bit more contentious than the U.S. is. Let's see, a former British colony. Yeah, it's I think the Caribbean's so interesting because so many of the islands there were colonized by British, French. So you have so many different languages there, and just a kind of confluence or a conglomerate of different cultures. So very, very neat place. But unfortunately, I've only been to Puerto Rico in the Caribbeans. And do I speak a foreign language? I I'm rusty. I took Spanish in high school, and I spent a couple weeks in Spain. I spent a week at a conference in Spain, and so I have a little bit of Spanish. I also lived in Texas for a year, so I got to use some Spanish down there. I lived in Miami for 5 years, got to use Spanish there, but it's rusty, it's broken. Um, I speak a little bit of Italian. I spent 3 months in Pisa, and that's very similar to Spanish. So I feel like if I'm attempting to speak Spanish, there's probably a little bit of Italian mixed in there. And if I'm attempting to speak Italian, there's probably a lot of Spanish. So I feel like I speak kind of Spanglish. And other than that, I know you might actually appreciate this, Benjamin. When I went to Germany, I learned a little bit of German for this interview that I had, and I learned Ich bin ein Ozeanwissenschaftler, which that means I am an ocean scientist, but my understanding of German is you actually wouldn't say it like that. But I think it gets the message across. I used to be Ich bin ein Ozeanwissenschaftler. I am no longer. Now I work in a factory, and I do this stuff with YouTube and the charts. And yeah, that's about it. And Des Moines, yeah, I am in the state that has the capital of Des Moines, which a lot of people pronounce Des Moines or Des Moines, Des Moines. There have been some funny memes around that state, but the monks, very cool. And that's in French. So yeah, that's the capital of Iowa, the state that I live in, which is not my favorite state. Oops, sorry, I meant to put up Ed. It's not my favorite state, but it's pretty cheap to live, so it's a nice place for me to be experimenting with the markets and YouTube. But Benjamin, I do appreciate all the chats, but I got to get going on with my evening, got to get ready for bed, fold some laundry, and turn in pretty soon. But Meer is German word for sea. Very cool. Sea means lake. Oh, that's very, very interesting. I'll pull that up for people to see. And yeah, so with that being said, with all of that, thank you all for hanging out in the chat. And I hopefully that this format with me having a little introduction and diving into a topic for maybe half an hour before getting into the requests is useful. And in that time, you guys can drop requests in the chat, and then I will later, hopefully this evening before I go to bed, release clips from going over ASST and Mike Alfred, and then going over the requests, so it's just more accessible for people. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining. As always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more ticker requests live like this, probably starting at 9 p.m. Eastern moving forward. And I'll try to keep them in total to about an hour and 15 minutes, although I'm probably going to be going over as I do tend to ramble. But yeah, hopefully useful for you guys. Hopefully you have a great start to the week. I think it's going to be an exciting one, and I'll try to have another video out tomorrow. Tuesday, I'm going to be opening Power Packs, so I might not put out a video Tuesday, saving that video for Wednesday, and maybe I have 2 videos, a stock video, Power Packs on Wednesday. We'll have to see what the schedule allows. But yeah, thank you again for hanging out. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, you guys.